Golden Shield. Inside. Welcome to the David Braley Athletic and Recreation Center for today's men's volleyball matchup. Outside it is snowy and frosty, and inside we've got a matchup with a nationally ranked Cambrian Shield team that has possible playoff implications. I'm your play-by-play commentator, Matt Jandrew, alongside my co-host, Harrison Myers. Harrison, two teams coming in on a 3-game win streak. What do you like as we got to look at the tail of the tape?
Yeah, so the Mohawk men, just as you said, on a 3-game win streak, sitting at 7-4. They are 4-1 at home, so only one loss. For Cambrian, they're 9-2 on a 3-game win streak. However, if there's any positive for the Mountaineers, is Cambrian is 6-0 at home compared to 3-2 away from home. So obviously, yes, they are a very good team, as you can tell, first position, but not as good away as they are when they're at home. So maybe the Mountaineers can take advantage of that, especially with their good home record.
Yeah, and we'll have a look at the standings now. Mohawk is battling to stay in that top half of the Western Division with Conestoga, St. Clair, even Niagara kind of breathing down their necks. So a win here would help solidify a home playoff game just a little bit more. Obviously nothing clinched today, but it would certainly be a step in the right direction. And yeah, they're going up against a team, like I said, in Cambrian, who's not only top of the West, second in the OCAA, but nationally ranked by the CCAA, number 8th in the whole country. So they will have their handfuls to get that job done. And we will step away for a couple of minutes and come back when action starts shortly. we will get kicked off momentarily again. Just like the women's game prior to this, we're having no national anthem and no starting lineup announcement just to keep things going, get everybody out here ASAP due to the weather conditions outside at the moment.
And as a member adheres to the fair play policy as outlined by the OCAA, Mohawk College staff and the game officials have the right to remove any spectator exhibiting unsportsmanlike, rude, and/or objectionable behavior, as well as foul language during the match. Please cheer in a professional and sporting manner. Again, there will be no pregame national anthem or lineups read out today because of the inclement weather outside. Enjoy the game.
All right, so we are just about ready for serve number 1. I believe Mohawk College got the first serve. Cambrian electing to receive off the get-go.
A couple new faces, Matt, that we haven't seen. Maybe some new transfers. Coming in as Marthis Guedes from Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yep, big tall man in the starting lineup today. And we'll also have Riven Healy in the lineup today, another face that's making his debut, at least on our broadcast. He's been present in a couple of outings now for the Mountaineers, played very well, and we'll have Brecken Morrison to kick things off for us here at home. And not an ideal start, but a rare fault from a man who's usually very sharp from the service line. So the opening serve will go now back over to Cambrian, and that's number 7, Cale Bast, who will get his shot at it. That one kept alive over to Morrison, way over to Jurak, off of a Cambrian hand and out of bounds. So first point into play anyway goes to Mohawk, and 1-1 is the score with Dean Zakari heading to the service line, getting off to a good start against a big team like Cambrian. It was such a good start, and the trouble from the service line continues, Harrison. Back-to-back faults.
Yeah, early mistakes for the Mountaineers, and it might seem insignificant at the moment, but as this first set goes on, if Mountaineers are down, those couple points missed could prove to be costly.
Wheatley with the serve for Cambrian. Brecken Morrison and Andrew Majerez kind of has a bit of a swing and a miss on that one. Another uncharacteristic mistake from someone who's usually a pretty powerful hitter right at the front line there. And so Wheatley will continue at the service line. Zakari to Morrison, setting up the big Brazilian on the outside. Rejected, but he keeps it up. Morrison over to Jurak. Jurak's got to immediately handle his own rejection. Now he sends that one well long.
Seems very similar to the women, Matt. Just really uncharacteristic mistakes and just a bit of uncoordination. Maybe just a bit of rust. Obviously, it is only the first set, but down 3 early are the Mountaineers.
Wheatley with his 3rd consecutive serve. There's Gatus. That one sent over by Zakari. Kept alive by Cambrian and has to be popped over. Ho to Brecken Morrison. And that one from Dean Zakari finds its mark. Dean Zakari gets the first big point, getting them back into the scoring column after going down by 3 points early on and looking like they maybe weren't quite settled into the game. That one should hopefully get them going. And Majerez with a beautiful serve. Absolutely caught the entire Cambrian team flat-footed, thinking it was going out of bounds, and he sneaks that one into the back corner. So Andrew Majerez atoning for an earlier mistake with a beautiful serving ace, and we'll see if he can do it back-to-back times here. That time Cambrian is able to get it. They pop it over. Dean Zakari to Brecken Morrison. And that time, a big setup and a big finish from Helix Hunter.
Other new face that we haven't seen, Matt, from the transfer window.
Yeah, excuse me. I said Riven Helio. I meant Helix Hunter. He's the other new face that has entered this roster. And that time, Majerus not able to get that in bounds. So now serve will go to Liam Hansen. Ho with a good dig to Brecken Morrison. Onto the middle. And there he is again, Helix Hunter.
Well, in terms of a first impression for me and you, Matt, what a debut for Helix Hunter.
I mean, I was told to expect good things, and so far, very, very early into this one, he is living up to that, and we'll hope he surpasses it as this one goes on. That's a big serve. That catches the inside of the line from Jurak. So after coming out of the gate with back-to-back serving faults, this Mohawk team has picked up a couple of huge aces that have put them on top now, 6-5. And we'll see if Jurak can recapture the magic of the last serve there. And
it's like a complete 180 from the first couple serves, and just like that, the Mountaineers have their first lead. And just like that, they'll lose it.
That time, now we tied up again, but yeah, absolutely, they've locked back into the game, it feels like, after maybe having such a long warm-up period, maybe not being fully in the zone, but that seemed to have gone away pretty quick. Ho gets that one to Brecken Morrison. And that one for Martha's Guidas. The Brazilian gets a huge kill here, and he can elevate that big frame, really gets up there. I would not want to stand in front of that. And here is Martha's Guidas. Big serve, but there is a man on the end of that. And a big block by the Mountaineers. And that's a huge defensive play.
That Guidas serve might be the highest we've ever seen a ball get thrown in the air.
I mean, he's a big man, and he gives it a long runway. And that time, Guidas off the net and out of bounds. But so far, I'm impressed. Mohawks come out looking good. See a bit of a new look in terms of their starting lineup with those two new faces. They are certainly, at the moment, playing on par with this very strong Cambrian side. Brecken Morrison gets that one over just, and foot over the line, I believe. And much to the dismay of Brecken Morrison, maybe realizing he did commit the foul at the end, as he had a bit of a smile there, but it's tied up at 8 now, although there will be a discussion here from the refs. And the referee has admitted her fault, and they're going to take the point off. It'll be a reserve. So Brecken Morrison, you never really see the protest work, but the second judge came in and did say that, in fact, he was innocent. And maybe a symptom of just not being in the lineup all year. It seemed to be a miscommunication between Helix Hunter and Brecken Morrison, as it was set backwards, and maybe was thinking another man was coming up behind him. It falls on its own. Morrison setting up Zakari off some fingertips. It's kept alive. Cambrian now returning, and a good placed ball in the back left corner. Now it's Jason Diot at the line, the big man. Gets it to Guidas. Morrison able to ring that one in. Now Jurak's just going to bump it over. Big block! Dean Zakari was there. Helix Hunter might have got a piece of it too, but a couple big defensive plays in this first set have the Mountaineers neck and neck with this Cambrian team.
Yeah, the Mountaineers have had good front net presence, especially on those first shots when Cambrian do not go for a fake. They haven't been able to get any kills from that area.
Hunter with the serve. Another block. This time it slips through, though. 3 men jump in there, and it does find a a hole in that wall and falls on the Mohawk side. So now we'll have Sam George with his first chance to serve today. Zakari's on the end of that one. Majerez goes up and slams it down. The Mountaineers playing really good around the net today. And Morrison, probably their strongest server, at least the games that we've called. He's done that, and he's at the line again. George. And that one from Hansen. A good response to the Majerez kill as he finds a soft spot of his own and makes no, or leaves nothing up to doubt. He absolutely smashed that one. This one from Jurak sent back right away. Brecken Morrison. Dean Zakari sent that one over, but Cambrian able to reel it in. That was a big block there from Majerez and Zakari, but Cambrian is going to counter. Ho with a nice dig over to Morrison, who's going to set up.
Push. No? Oh. I thought it was going to be like a push.
I thought it was a push on Gatiss, but evidently the infraction's on Cambrian, so Mohawk will take the point. And Dean Zakari will take his spot at the service line. Big serve there, nice dig. George sets up a big smash. Number 24, that's Ethan Wheatley.
Yeah, neither team able to string points together. However, so far it's favoring Cambrian since they have been holding that 1-point lead.
Now Wheatley's headed to the service line. Ho's there. Brecken Morrison's going to set up Jurak this time. Quickly blocked. Ho's going to be there again. And Morrison once again setting up Jurak. And that time it goes off of a Cambrian player and out of bounds. So a point for the Mountaineers, getting them back tied up 12 apiece here in set number 1.
And now you have once again another chance to get some points together.
Majerez taking his place at the service line now. Cambrian did play last night, so just like we saw for the Mohawk women, maybe fatigue will play into a factor here as it is a back-to-back game for the Shield. That one they're able to get over, though. Dean Zakari's there to Brecken Morrison. He's setting up Helix, and that one goes off a Cambrian player and out of bounds. The block at the front from Big Diot was not strong enough. That time, though, a big strike from number 16, Kyle Perot.
Even with that point, though, the Mountaineers did break a 5 streak of being down 1 and tying the game, so maybe this time it'll be their turn.
Now Hansen with the serve. Brecken Morrison setting up a soft touch from Dean Zakari, but an incredible dig. It looked like it was down for a second there. Brecken Morrison now setting up the big Brazilian. That one kept alive, though, again. Some incredible defensive plays on Cambrian's side. And a tip off of a Mohawk player. But how about the defensive play from Jonas Obergawish? Absolutely keeping that one alive on
I thought for sure it hit the ground.
I almost called it, but seemed to have maybe just got like a nail under that one. That was all. So now Liam Hansen. Missing the zone that time. Jurak at the line. Perron's there for that one. And George tried to get it over and missed the timing a little bit.
Back-to-back points for the Mountaineers. And we've seen runs for both the men and women have been important and difficult to come by.
Yeah, stringing together a bunch of points has been tough. Both teams very neck and neck. Good dig there. George going to set up D-Lot. Doesn't get over. George again. And this time from the back row, it's Kale Bass coming up to make the kill.
Yeah, just couldn't quite get their hands on top of that one, but Mountaineers have had really good defense so far. Haven't been aced. Have been able to set up very well. It'll just be find out if they can continue that as we basically are at halfway done the set.
Perot served that one. Mountaineers try to get over, it's blocked. That time, a soft touch from Martus Gaitis. Gets it done. The first time he went at that attack, a little bit harder, got rejected, and then he changed up the speed and it worked well. See Gaitis head to the service line with that big toss-up like you mentioned, Harrison. Wow. And that time, just not able to be reeled in by Owen Perron.
A little bit of Brazilian flair right there, Matt, in those last 2 points.
Absolutely. As he beckons to the crowd, although the limited crowd here due to the weather today. Not letting that get into his head. Here comes Gaitis' serve once again. Big toss-up again. George setting up Bast, and they can't get that one back over. Ho was there, Morrison went after it. They weren't quite ready. Sorry, it's Helix Hunter who went diving after that one.
Ho just couldn't quite get under it enough. Good block considering that was aiming at his face though.
Diot with the serve to Gaitis. Brecken Morrison over to Dean Zakari off some fingertips and out of bounds. Dean Zakari making his presence felt here as the Mountaineers extend their lead to 2 points.
Which has been their biggest lead in this first set, Matt, and with how things have gone so far, it could be enough.
Coming at the right time, Hunter's serve. Makes way to George, over to Bast, off of Morrison's fingertips. Dean Zakari's there, back to Morrison. He's gonna reverse set it up for Jurak, and he does just enough to get it through the defense and get the kill.
What a fake from Morrison. I thought for sure that was gonna go over to the left side. I think it was Majerus, but instead it's to the other side behind him where Jurak was lurking.
Yeah, he absolutely reversed the flow on that one and exposed the weakness in Jurak. Did just enough, got just enough of that one to get it through, and then a timeout called by 34-year head coach Dale Basoli of the Cambrian Shield. So a man who I'm sure has seen just about everything in terms of OCAA volleyball.
It's like a quarter of his life, a quarter of anybody's life spent at volleyball, Cambrian, which is impressive.
And he's got his team winning this season, like we said, first in the division. So right now they've got the right recipe, but in this game, Mountaineers having the upper hand, at least in set number 1.
Yeah, it seems like these new additions are looking very good, but so are the old ones. They seem like unfazed by any changes, and Brecken Morrison, Alex Jurak, names we've all heard before, looking very sharp, and Jordan Ho as well. I mean, the defense has been impressive to say the least. They haven't really made a lot of mistakes on that end. It's mostly just been offensive mistakes.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like there's another dimension to their offense in terms of the starting lineup, especially with how big and long Gaitis is on the outside there. Like you said, that fake, one of the reasons it works so well is because you have so many options, and the defense can't leave any spot exposed. So definitely seems to be working. We'll see how it goes here as Helix Hunter, excuse me, will have a chance. Up 3. And that one well long. Now George, Sam George, the setter at the service line. Brecken Morrison, soft. Ooh, so cheeky from Brecken Morrison, but so smooth. You see him just kind of popped that one over right where no one is looking. And now he's going to make his way to the service line. Big serve from Morrison. Wheatley put that over. Now Zakari's going to try to return fire. Brecken Morrison back to Zakari on the outside, but a man is there for Cambrian. That time Jurax kind of gets through, but they're able to pop it back quickly. Morrison setting up Gatiss. And I guess they're saying contact with the net.
An infraction of some sorts for Gatiss.
So it looked like a good hit, but regardless, we will have Cale Bast serving now. Jurak to Morrison, really close to the net, so Jurak's got to just pop that over. And that time, it's Wheatley for Cambrian trying to finish it off, but he misses the zone. So a point for Mohawk. Cambrian now staring down almost do-or-die territory as they're down 3 points with just 4 points to give.
First sub of the game for either team is the Mountaineers make the substitution of Dean Zakari coming out for, this will be Keon Elke, a name that we have seen a lot, Matt.
Keon Elke into the game. He's been a big rotation player, started at times. Today coming off the bench. He'll make his first impression from the service line, and that one's pretty good. George trying to set up Hansen. Now this one goes to Elke, over to Gatiss. And Gatiss is turned back by Hansen, who lets him know how he feels about that one and then is cautioned for the little extra emphasis on it after the fact.
I don't think we've seen a caution before, at least in any of the games we've commentated, Matt.
No, that'd be the first time, and Hansen quick to apologize, so
Clearly just in the moment.
Caught up in the moment. Yeah. I can see that. It was a big moment, big block, and Gatiss has been quite effective, so if anything, just a bit of a compliment to get a block on that.
Karma. I mean,
Been lots of noise from both benches today.
We saw the Mountaineers with the Brecken Morrison when he was upset about the infraction didn't happen. The next point, I think they missed the serve, so Cambrian got it right back. So.
Yep. So volleyball gods are dealing out some karma. Benjamin Puskas. And George trying to set up the big man there, Diot, but he misses long.
And another timeout, Matt, for Cambrian.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean, you've kind of been outplayed, although they started off so strong, and Mohawk cleaned up a lot of the mistakes. They've cleaned up a lot of the service mistakes, and they're really facilitating the ball well. Defensively, I've been the most impressed right around the net. Not a lot getting through, and when they do, that back line, and especially Jordan Ho, as always, is defensively very sturdy.
Yeah, defensively been really good. The mistakes that they were making a bit early on, some missed serves and some just missed passes, have disappeared for the most part. It's been Cambrian the ones making the mistakes, and had a lot of good rallies, but Mountaineers on top, only needing 2 points to take the first set and start off on a very strong foot in this one.
So now time will wind down on Cambrian's second timeout of the set. I'll get ready with Mohawk, looking to take set number 1 with a couple of serves. Will be Benjamin Puskas. That one to Bast. To George to set up D-Lot, but it's handled by Mohawk. And Gatiss called again. On the same infraction. get clarification on what that one was. So now Hansen's at the line. And that one beautifully placed. Another serve coming from Hansen. That one to Gatus. Brecken Morrison back side to Jurak. George setting up Hansen this time. George to Hansen working again. And Cambrians come almost all the way back from down on the verge of being almost, shut out after that timeout in there. Now 23-22, looking to put the pressure on Mohawk and tie this one up. And Hansen wanted to do it all himself. And a timeout called. So I'm sure they just want to ice the hot hand at the service line.
Yeah, up by 4, a little bit of a missed opportunity for the Mountaineers, but a lot of just really good serves from Hansen. Nothing really you could say about that. I mean, that last one was good call for the Mountaineers not to touch it. It was very close, but it was in, and now tied at 23. Whichever team scores next will be at match point, at least to force overtime. We'll have to see who that will be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Mohawk can kind of regain their composure after giving up what seemed like a surefire win in this set, and now it's going to be a point-for-point kind of battle here as Cambrian looks to force overtime in this set. And Hansen so hot at this service line and in rally. I mean, he just pinpointed that back line about 3 points in a row, and you're right, Harrison, what can you really do if you're Mohawk? I mean every time you kind of have to let those fall, and usually they're 50-50, but he's hitting 100% right now. Hits the net, but Ho makes a good dig, and this time Gatus catches them off guard, I think, with a little bit of a softer touch, and it finds a opening behind the front line of the Cambrian Shield.
Huge point to halt the momentum, and now you're on match point, only needing 1 to take the set.
Alex Jurak, one of the more reliable servers on this Mountaineer squad, is gonna get the nod. And that time, George tried to put it over himself, kind of missed it, and that's going to cost them the set. And so Mohawk goes up 1-0 here after an impressive defensive performance. Almost let it slip away, but they do end up coming away with the win at the end. So we will step away for a moment, and when we return, set number 2 here in the D-Bark will resume. So the first serve will go to Cambrian. It's going to be Sam George who gets the tap to do so.
Made a few mistakes in that first set match, so I'm sure he'll want to rectify that and redeem himself in the second one.
Absolutely, including that set point where he was very frustrated on his miscue. This one close to the net for Morrison. Brecken Morrison with a good pair of eyes, but that one's going to be overturned. And Brecken Morrison not liking that call, but nevertheless, Sam George back at the line. And that time, the ball doesn't lie as a fault will make it 1-1 here early on and send Brecken Morrison to the line. And that one long, just barely long from Brecken Morrison as he tried to thread the needle on the back line there. Couldn't quite sneak it in. Now Bast heading to the service line for his first time of the second set for Cambrian. Picked up a couple of kills in that opening set loss. Dean Zakari on the end of that serve to Morrison. He's going to set Zakari up. Quickly rejected, but rejected out of bounds into our direction. And that one will be a big point for Mohawk to get the serve, get control of the serve back, excuse me, and continue this momentum they had building. As they're just looking for a ball here for Dean Zakari. He now has one. George setting up Hansen with the soft touch. MVP so far for Cambrian. Liam Hansen picks up another point.
Yeah, I mean, he was the catalyst in their comeback, which it really was a comeback, down 4 points. I mean, tied it up at 23. Weren't able to close it out, but he was terrific.
He really was. They had to call a timeout just to ice him at the service line, and it did work as they came away with the win. This one going to Brecken Morrison to Jurak. That one hitting long. Can't really complain too much about that, though, as you had the right idea. Just such a thin margin of error on that kind of attack to the back of the zone. So now we'll have Wheatley serving. Dean Zakari to Morrison to Majures off of some Cambrian players, desperately trying to keep it alive. And Hansen will get it over after some heroic efforts. This time, though, Majuras gets it over, and there is going to be no return from Cambrian. They desperately kept it in play that first time. Second time around, Majuras gets it off some bodies into the net, and the point results in Mohawk's favor. Majuras quickly giving that point back, though, with a miss. Cambrian takes a 5-3 lead here in set 2. Hansen with the serve. That one goes to Dean Zakari. Brecken Morrison to set up. Hunter. Helix Hunter absolutely crushed that one, as that was put right in the wheelhouse. No one was getting that one. Jurak with a big swing. Bass sends that one immediately back over, and then Gatus, as if he was making a slam dunk from an easy rebound, just cleans up the garbage there. Hits it off of a Cambrian player and to the ground.
Yeah, I think Helix and Gatus are liking Mohawk College and liking the Mohawk Mountaineers, Matt.
I think so. That time Jurak does it alone. A nice serving ace there from Alex Jurak, getting Mohawk back into the lead in set number 2. Team is playing with some energy today, playing with the fire. This one goes to George, setting up Hansen. It's rejected. Miracle, somehow they keep that alive. Brecken Morrison, they try to set up Gatiss. It goes over Hunter to Gatiss, and they can't quite do it. Dean Zakari pleading his case about something. Not gonna go in his favor though, I think. I think Mohawk felt like they really should have came away with that point after having Cambrian on their heels, just trying to get the ball into play. And then a miscue on the set really leads to the point. Now Gatiss gonna have another shot at it. Soft touch kept into the air by Bast. Then George setting up Hansen. Zakari though, able to reel it in. And now a attack by Jurak set up by Brecken Morrison. Now Bast reversing it over to Hansen. Jordan Ho's there. Brecken Morrison setting up Jurak. Softer touch, reeled in. Will they keep it alive? It's right around the net. Helix Hunter. Morrison back to Hunter. Helix Hunter tosses it over. Oh, Morrison with a huge dig to keep things alive, and Jordan Ho sends it over the net as this rally develops. And a big swing from the Cambrian Shield. After a great rally, they just can't reel it in on the Mountaineers side. And that was just brutal.
Finally, that rally, one of the best we've seen for sure, comes to an end.
It really was. So Gatiss, with his big toss, is going to get a chance. The toss. That one goes to Bast. From George to Bast, out of bounds. Gatiss back at the line. That one long from Gatiss. Now the big number 18, Diot at the line. Gatiss. Morrison will set that one up to Zakari. Hansen's there on the other end of it. This one gonna be set on the far side to Bast, but it was quickly rejected. Now another one being set up for Bast, but it sailed too far over the net. Couldn't have a fair attempt made on it, just sailed a little bit too much. And now Helix Hunter at the line. And that time it's Wheatley putting it down.
Similar to the first half, Matt, it's back and forth. One team getting 1 point, then the other team tying it up, and so on, so on. We'll have to see if neither team will pull away, similar to what the Mountaineers did at the end of the first set.
And it may come down just to who's sharper at the service line, as we see one sail into the net there. They're able to minimize those mistakes, and Brecken Morrison, who's made a couple of faults today, but is normally one of the sharper servers on this squad. He's going to get a chance here to extend a lead, hopefully string together some points. Said that's been very hard to come by today. George for Hansen off of the fingertips of the front line. Morrison backside to Jurak. He is almost able to keep it alive. Can't quite do it. Flies backwards. Now we'll have Bast at the service line. Okay, Bast. Jordan Ho gets there for that one. Now Brecken Morrison putting it up for Jurak. Tries to get it over. And that one sails into the net, and that's going to put Cambrian back in the lead here in set number 2. As they will now make an attempt to string together. There's been more than 2 points seems to be the threshold that these teams can't quite cross. Jordan Ho with a good dig. Morrison keeps it alive. Dean Zakari into the production desk here and not able to keep it alive.
I grabbed onto you, Matt.
I
don't know
appreciate
why.
that.
I wasn't trying to use you as a human shield. I just
felt
grabbed
like
onto
that for
you.
a moment there, Harrison. But it's okay. It was a tense moment here, but everything's okay. All the gear's okay. Now we've got Bass back at the service line. Gatus is there. Morrison's going to set up Dean Zakari on the backside. That one goes off George and backwards, but they're going to be able to get it back into play here. Soft touch. Jurak, Morrison. This time Zakari puts it deep with a volley. And that one gets it through from Perot. So the Cambrian Shield do get 3 points. And they would love to keep this momentum rolling and get this game drawn up at 1. Service line always a factor, though, as that will stop the momentum at least temporarily. And Dean Zakari will return to the service line. Perot is there. Now George setting up Hansen off of Gatus and out of bounds. Diot rotating back into the lineup here. Wheatley heading to the service line.
And now the Mountaineers are going to have to go on a run of their own. Trading points is not going to work when you're down by 3.
Nope, the separation has gone to that point. Brecken Morrison, Dean Zakari. Brecken Morrison with a foot, keeping that one alive. And a big block there, but the Cambrian off of Hansen is going to be able to keep it into play. That one tucked into the back corner. But Brecken Morrison with a foot. I think it's the first foot save we've seen at the D-Bark this year. But unfortunately, it doesn't result in a point, so Wheatley will get another shot here to keep this lead strong. That one kind of soft off the hands of Ho. Dean Zakari will set up Gatus. Gatus now tucking one into the back corner of the Cambrian Shield. A huge point there from the big Brazilian out of Sao Paulo. And here comes Majiris. And Diot. A powerful, powerful strike there. Not much you can do about that.
Yeah, just under the hands of Brecken Morrison there.
That'll
4-point lead, sorry, Matt. 4-point lead now, which we saw was enough for the Mountaineers to win.
Yeah, so we'll see if that stays the case. However, Mountaineers arguing that one was out. And they're going to call a timeout to stop the bleeding here as that lead extends to 5.
Yeah, we definitely, I think out of all the games commentated, Matt, we haven't seen this many calls where really they are 50-50. It doesn't look like, you know, most, I'd say maybe there's 1 or 2 where you could say for sure, oh, the ref made the right call, but some of these you could look at on both teams, you could look at and say maybe it should go the other way.
Yeah, and I mean, especially those calls in the back line or on the side, such a 50-50 thing sometimes, matter of inches or millimeters even at moments, but have to err on the side of the referee or the line judge's judgment. I suppose it's not even the referee. Kind of hard to tell exactly from our angle if that one was in, but regardless, if you're Mohawk, you just want to forget about it and move on. That's the best thing to do. You got 5 points to make up right now, and you're running out of time to do it with Cambrian at 17. And I'm sure they don't want to give Cambrian any life with a set. They want to go up 2-0 here and just put their foot on their neck, of course, metaphorically speaking.
And after how that first set went, how the second one's gone. It's not improbable for the Mountaineers to get 5 straight points and win the set, but definitely seems like a tall task.
Well, they're going to have to start by slowing down Hansen, who has been sharp at the service line today, as well as in play. That one, Gatis gets a dig on. Now it's from Brecken Morrison back to him. Ho does a good job to put that high in the air. Brecken Morrison able to put into an area for Jurak. And Cambrian does a great job to keep it alive, but not back over the net. So after Jordan Ho, or sorry, it was Delos Reyes who was in the game to make that dig, excuse me. He made a great defensive play. We've seen him come off the bench, do that a ton this season, makes another one there, and Brecken Morrison was able to get it to Jurak, and then because it sailed so far, I think the angle really threw that defense of the Shield off, and just there, Jurak gets another point on a service ace.
Maybe the first ace we've seen for the Mountaineers, which is a bit uncharacteristic. Usually we see them early on, but no better time than now.
Exactly, as they're trying to surge back into this one. That was another good looking serve, but it is handled. Just have to be popped over there. Brecken Morrison gonna set up Gatis on the outside. Gatis absolutely crushed that one.
Straight out of Brazil.
Absolutely, the Brazilian hammer making
like
his
that.
presence felt here. And that one from Jurak into the net, so it's a 3-point lead again, and we'll have some new faces. I believe that's Cole Crowder coming in. Thomas Kuzma coming in. Delos Reyes coming in. So just some fresh bodies in here for this final push, perhaps. I think that'll be Brad McClure's strategy. Still have Helix Hunter, Dean Zakari, and Gatis in for this, from the starting lineup, I should say, and the serve's gone to Perot. Delos Reyes gets that one. Set up for Gatis. That one, another one from the Brazilian hammer, back to back.
It's like a My Team player. It's like a cheat code. Every time he gets the ball, it's like, it's going to be a point every time.
Absolutely, and as this year goes on, it'll just settle more and more into this structure and this strategy of the Mohawk team, and it's going to be a force to reckon with. The Mohawk Mountaineers look to push for the playoffs, and right now push for a win in set number 2 to really get the pressure on. And now we've seen Josh Taylor come in for the first time today. George set up the big man again. Their big man, Diot.
Is the insurmountable three-point lead, sorry, is what seems to be the issue now for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, it's just hard with this Cambrian team also being so sharp. This one to Taylor. Taylor gets Diot to fall backwards there. Double touch called on Diot, I believe, falling down to get that one. So Taylor's kind of side slash at that one after not having appeared in the game to this point. Makes a immediate impact. Hunter with the serve. George, far side to Bast. That one well out of bounds. And now they're cooking with gas as they're just 1 point down.
Great read from Taylor there to get out of the way. He saw it almost, not almost immediately, but pretty quickly that that one was going way out and got out of the way. Now we have a 1 point game.
George gonna set up Hansen, blocked, but it is kept alive by Cambrian. Kuzma. That was a good dig there by Perot. Now Bast pretty clearly got that one in the back corner. That's about as perfect as you can get it with everyone pushing up to the net. So now we will have Sam George at the service line here. That time missing. So that'll wipe out that last good rally. Now we'll have the big names in the starting lineup back in. Brecken Morrison, Alex Jurak. But credit to the guys off the bench who just came in, who got them within punching distance, just down a point. Now they can send Brecken Morrison, their probably #1 pick for in terms of who you'd want at the service line in this kind of situation.
A tough 3-point lead has now been back down to 1.
That one hit high in the air, but credit to Cambrian. They're consistently bringing these balls back into play. This time it'll be set up to Josh Taylor in response, and Josh Taylor coming off the bench, but putting the work in here, having come up with a couple of big points, forcing a timeout. Josh Taylor making an impact there with a great play.
Yeah, and just like that, Matt, that 3-point lead that seemed insurmountable is completely gone. We have a tie game. I mean, similar to what the Mountaineers kind of dealt with in the first set when they're up by 4, and then it became 23-23. So I'm sure they're hoping that that's not going to be the case for them on the opposing side this time, and that they'll be able to close this out and take a 2-0 series lead.
Yeah, that would be ideal, obviously. I mean, I think freshness is going to be playing a factor. The fatigue for Cambrian, who you're playing a double back-to-back games here, might start to wear on them later and later into these sets as you're battling for these ever so important points. But this Mohawk team definitely has a new layer to it, especially to its attack. I mean,
New Brazilian
layer. Hunter Helix playing well.
Yep.
And then when you can bring somebody like Josh Taylor off the bench, I mean, it's hard to compete with, no matter who you're playing.
I mean, I don't think anybody can jump as high as that guy can.
I don't think so, no.
Impressive, to say the least. Morrison, as we've been saying, Matt, not necessarily his best day from the service line, but still a guy you want there at all times.
Absolutely, that one's pretty good. George now setting up, trying to set up Bass, but he's called on a double touch. Can't really get away with that one right in front of the referee. And you know, George, frustrated after the first set where he made a mistake on the set point, now seems to have that frustration growing with another mistake there. And we'll find out if it was costly with Brecken Morrison still at the line. Another good serve. That one went to Bast. George, backside to Bast. Gatiss does get that one in the air, so Brecken Morrison can set up Taylor with a soft touch. Majuras sets it backwards. Now Jurak going to put it deep into the zone, and Alex Jurak coming up with a big point in a big moment for the Mohawk Mountaineers.
And now it's Cambrian's turn to lose it with the referees. As I would say, the Mountaineers did not react quite like this, but they're a little bit upset, to say the least.
I think they want a lift on Majuras, who kind of had to quickly react to a ball off of a net, but the referee sticking with her decision, as it is her prerogative to do so. Brecken Morrison sends that one over. He seems to be back on from the service line. George setting up Wheatley. This time Wheatley finds a gap between Andrew Majuras and Alex Jurak. Brecken Morrison unable to make it up from the service line in time to make a dig there. So Mohawk's big swing comes to an end, and we'll send Cale Bass to the line. Good play by Delos Reyes. Taylor gonna get it back to Reyes, who's got to pump it back into the Cambrian side. This one from Hansen, who had been relatively quiet as of late, makes his impact felt, I should say, once again here with a huge kill through a couple of Mohawk defenders.
A 5-point swing for the Mountaineers disappears to a 2-point swing for Cambrian.
Feels like this is one that might go into overtime points. We got a shoelace, Brecken Morrison here.
Another close set as really both these teams battling, and clearly the Mountaineers have definitely improved. Obviously Cambrian having 2 more wins.
Morrison setting up Taylor, soft touch, catches him off guard. Josh Taylor with a finesse play there.
Impressive, to say the least. I mean, we talked about you know, the Mountaineer basketball team's having such depth. I mean, look at that. Josh Taylor off the bench getting a couple of kills and looking like he's been playing the whole time.
Doing a great job. Yeah, he's rotated out now, but he certainly was impactful while he was out on the floor. Now Dean Zakari with the serve. That one finds a way to George. Setting up Perot. Brecken Morrison backwards, steps over the line. Double touch, actually. Lots of double touches, lots of infractions called. The referee's calling it pretty tight.
And once again, Matt, we are tied at 23, just like in the first set, as Cambrian make probably their final sub.
And Dorsey, who was making his first appearance today at the service line, is going to be iced with a timeout here. Perhaps he's a serving specialist they're bringing in for these last two crucial points. And Coach Brad McClure wants nothing to do with that. So we'll step away for about a minute here and come back with these last two crucial points. And that will do it. So Connor Dorsey now will get ready in a moment to kick things off for the very end of set number 2. Momentum hanging in the balance. Mohawk can come up with a 2-0 win. It will surely put them in a good space to beat a team who is nationally ranked still. Number 8 coming into this one. Off the net, Delos Reyes is there. Brecken Morrison taps it up. Majuras puts it down. Morrison and Majuras in the front line. Brecken Morrison literally putting it on a silver platter, and Andrew Majuras making no mistake of it. And a timeout forced there as they're at set point. And Cambrian, has no interest in going down 2-0, so they want to game plan this one, I would imagine, Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, same thing as the first set up to this point. The Mountaineers get that elusive match point before Cambrian going up 24-23. Now have a chance to finish it off with a serve, and obviously that timeout just to ice server, but unlucky maybe for the Cambrian side. That serve hits the net, but still right into Delos Reyes' hands, and as you said, Morrison able to set that up easily for Majuras, as he could be reaching either an overtime period or a tie, or a 2-0 series lead for the Mountaineers.
Yeah. That would be huge. I think Mohawk has done enough to deserve to be up 2-0 the way they've played. Had to come back at moments, been in the lead, but they've looked like a team determined and on a mission here today. And we'll have a big serve coming up. It will be Majuras, the one to make the attempt. See what Majuras has here. Went to Bass, to George, over to Hansen. Jurak puts it high in the air for Brecken Morrison, who's going to set him up now. Puts that deep into the zone with a volley. Now George setting up Perot. Dean Zakari had to take a dive at it to try to keep it up. Can't quite get there as they reverse the flow nicely. And Perot recognizing the gap in the back corner there. And now their best man from the service line, Liam Hansen. That one a fault.
Now match point as we are in overtime, Matt. For all those who are confused about what the overtime rules are, you have to win by 2. You have to score 2 points in a row. If not, we could be here forever.
Theoretically, yes, we could be. Let's see if Jurak can make that quickly a fantasy. That one, though, will bring it back to even up at 25-25. So we'll see what Cambrian can get into an advantage and win this after it looked like the set might slip through their fingers. Ellis Reyes getting to Morrison, who's going to set up Gatis. Gatis with a second try at it after it got sent right back to him. This time it's going to be for Hunter Helix. Helix Hunter, excuse me, and that time it works. Helix Hunter coming up big late in the second set, excuse me.
Now you just need one more for the Mountaineers. Once again, it will be Gatis at the line. Let's credit the Mountaineers for not stopping the press after being stopped multiple times.
That one put high for Bass, and Bass puts it long, and Mohawk up 2-0 on the Cambrian Shield here at the D-Bark. So we will head to set number 3 with the Mohawk Mountaineers in a position to knock off this Cambrian team here with a sweep. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, set number 3. So 25 seconds winding down in this intermission. Cambrian gonna need to dig deep here to stave off the sweep. Mohawk gonna need to continue their excellent play, particularly their excellent offensive play, as they have been a tough unit to stop today.
Mountaineers definitely trying to put the OCAA on notice with a win here against a nationally ranked team and move only 1 game behind them further pushing them ahead in the standings and not only cementing their playoff spot, but maybe able to catch up on the leaders.
Yeah, they're kind of right now sitting atop that big log jam in the middle of the standings there. Everyone's at about 6 to 8 wins, 6 to 7 wins, and right now this one would really solidify them as above that into that upper echelon with Cambrian in the West Division. As the playoffs kind of are creeping up on us, they'll be soon enough. In a couple of weeks now, Brecken Morrison getting us started. That one goes to Bass, to George, far side to Hansen. That one out of bounds, so Hansen's attempt misses, and the Mohawk Mountaineers start with a point here. And that one looked like it could have been in, but just missed, I suppose. The back line, very close call, but it will go in favor of the Shield. And now Bast at the line. There's Ho over to Gatus, far side to Jurak, quickly blocked, but out of bounds. So 2-1 will be Mohawk.
Dean Zakari, the captain, going to the line, and another discussion between Cambrian and the referee, and a yellow card issued.
I think the bench is receiving a yellow card on Cambrian's side, but
Never seen that before, Matt. Obviously, you saw the warning, which is new, but I didn't know there was cards.
Yeah, yellow card there for the bench is what I think is happening, and I believe Cambrian arguing they want one given likewise to the Mohawk bench. I don't think they're going to get it at this point.
Same thing then for them, okay? I understand.
And that one straight into the net from Dean Zakari, making it 2-2. As the temperature in this one rising a little bit here in set number 3 in what could be the deciding set. And Cambrian, I would have to look it up. I don't know if they've been swept all year. They've only had 2 losses. I would have to imagine they've picked up a set in those. That one from Gatus deflects off a Cambrian player and results in a big kill and a big point for the Mohawk Mountaineers. Now let's send Majirius to the line. Off the net, but into play. Diot's attempt will be returned. Double touch called. This ref is all over the double touches today. Seen more of those called today than I think in all the other games combined that we've gotten to watch.
Seen a yellow card, a warning, really things we've never seen before.
It's been quite a colorful affair, and now we'll have Hansen at the line, who is maybe quieted down since the first set, but had an astounding opening set here. Brecken Morrison setting up Dean Zakari. That time Bass gets to George, setting up Hansen on the backside. Brecken Morrison puts it high in the air. Dallas Reyes is going to be there helping get to Gatus. Gatus puts the bread in the basket. And the Polish hammer just trying to finish this game off strong. He's been great throughout.
And Matt, I can confirm in both their losses, they lost 3-1, and last time they played the Mountaineers, they won 3-1.
So obviously some things have changed since that meeting. Zakari gets it to Morrison, setting up Gatus, and he says he gets it in. Right in the back corner, barely, but just a perfectly placed ball. And he's been a force to reckon with today, and they're obviously gonna feed him as long as he keeps eating. Now Jurak with the ball at the service line. Big serve tips off the net. That time Perot tried to get over, it was blocked. This one's gonna be right around the net. And a lift called on a Cambrian player. I believe it was Diot.
Now a 3-point lead for the Mountaineers as they go on a run, which we've seen runs come and go at times, but the Mountaineers have started this third set off very well.
They do seem to be playing with a lot of mojo in this set. That one, though, will help get the momentum back in Cambrian's favor with Diot coming up with a big strike there. Just get a look at that one. Nothing Jordan Ho can do about it. Nothing you can really blame him for, as that one was on a crash course. This serve, excuse me, coming from Perot. Delos Reyes gets it to Zakari. Didn't make contact with anybody on the way out, so it will be a point for Cambrian as they're gonna get back to within 1 point. So that big 3-point swing we were hoping would be more fruitful, Harrison, has almost vanished completely. And now Perot at the line. Brecken Morrison setting up Zakari with a soft touch. Now Zakari keeps it alive to Delos Reyes. This time Jurak gets a big swing at it. Gets off of a fingertip at the front line. That one bounces off of Delos Reyes' hand. May have been sailing out if not for that, but too close to call in the moment, and it flies out of bounds. Usually such a good decision maker, Delos Reyes. Uncharacteristic mistake there, and that will keep Perot at the line with a chance to take the lead for the first time in this set. Edis puts it up in the air, gets set back to him from Morrison. Softer touch, catches him off guard. Hits the ground, and another big point for the Mountaineers. Gaddis is just coming alive here.
And with that, Matt, the Mountaineers had a 3-point swing, which was answered by a Cambrian 3-point swing, but then they give it back to Gaddis, and he gives the Mountaineers the lead right back.
So we'll see the big toss and the big strike here from the big man from Brazil. This one goes across to Bast. And Bast misses wide and long. The Mountaineers looking to stay in control despite the point swings kind of coming to either team. They're on the verge of having a 3-point swing of their own now again. That one finds its way to Perot, to George, to Hansen. Off some fingertips will allow it to get to Brecken Morrison. Put into the air by Gaddis, went over the net by Zakari, now being returned by Cambrian. It's Bast. Bast puts it in a difficult area for Jordan Ho. So 8-7, this one still neck and neck. Now we'll have Diot. Goes to Gaddis. Brecken Morrison setting up Dean Zakari, who's just gonna have to try to lob it into the back. Bast rejected! And it's Brecken Morrison who gets the rejection there, I believe. Hunter was jumping there as well, but I believe Brecken Morrison was the one to come up with the contact, and that'll Hunter at the line. Into the air from Perot over to George, this time to Bast again. Gaddis keeps it alive. Brecken Morrison setting up Jurak. They do keep it alive, this time to Hansen, out of bounds off of a Mountaineer. So this one ramping up in the intensity, Harrison, here in the third.
Yeah, the ball's flying around, everybody getting a piece of it, but as things stand, the Mountaineers have had the advantage at most at 3. As of right now, they're up by 1.
And it will be the setter George at the line. Sam George sets.
It's not been his day, Matt.
You know, he has made good plays in the rally and in the back and forth, but he has made a couple of mistakes. You can see it kind of the frustration mounting from him a little bit, but there's still a lot of game, a lot of set left to go anyway. We'll see if there's a lot of game that follows, but right now they just gotta shake off whatever struggles they've been having and try to get this one in their favor. Morrison with a big serve. Now it's George. He sets up Wheatley, but that misses long. Some discussion with Perot. That will be a Morrison serve now. That one into the air by Perot. George to set up Bast.
Blocked,
and it's out of bounds.
It's unfortunate. It's good defense. Just goes out.
Yeah, great timing on the block. Just maybe caught the side of a hand and just sailed out of bounds. That'll send Cale Bass back to the line now, down just the 2 points. Looking to regain the tie and get these guys in a winning position. Jordan Ho with a, Delos Reyes, excuse me, with a huge dig, but it'll be all for nothing after a rejection at the net by Perot. Bassett, a lot of busy day at the service line. He's had a couple of good runs. Gatus, Brecken Morrison to Alex Jurak off fingertips and makes it through. George on the backside setting up Hansen, and they can't reel that one in. Morrison was in the area, so was Dean Zakari, but no one able to get a good piece of it.
So we are now tied. The 3-point and 2-point lead the Mountaineers have had is finally gone as Cambrian has leveled things up.
Bass serve, gets to Delos Reyes. Brecken Morrison reverse setup for Dean Zakari. Great dig there by Bass. Now a setup for Perot. Delos Reyes to Morrison, backside again to Zakari. This time it works. How do you like that? Dean Zakari with a big point to keep the lead in favor of the Mohawk Mountaineers.
Yeah, keep that advantage, even though it's only a 1-point advantage. Cambrian was pressing and had the momentum, but maybe silenced by that Zakari slam.
That one from Zakari, and then he's had a couple of faults. Not his best day from the service line, but he has been impactful elsewhere on the floor. And now we will have Wheatley, Ethan Wheatley, the big 6'9" forward. And let's see what he can do here. Ellis Reyes to Morrison. And that set from Morrison sailed a little bit too much into no man's land, and can't do that with Diot lurking at the front of the net there. Another 6'9" player.
It's the lead for Cambrian for the first time in a long time, at least in this set. And it will be gone.
Just like that, hard, like you keep saying, Harrison, hard to hold on to momentum, hard not to trade points like this. Magirius now at the service line, looking to get the lead back for the Mountaineers. That's going to be a fault. That one will put Cambrian back in the lead. And now we have Hansen. Big dig by Delos Reyes. And that setup finished off by Helix Hunter off of a Cambrian player and out of bounds for a huge point.
About halfway done the set, Matt. Mountaineers looking to 3-0. They have been good. It's been a fairly back and forth set. Yes, they did have the advantage, but as of right now, it seems back and forth. Those direct serves.
George setting up Diot, the big man. He's been good as of late in this set. Couple of points in recent memory, including that one, which is a big strike from the 6'9" Diot out of Sudbury. Now Perot with the serve. Zakari makes a good dig. This one finds its way over to the one and only. You know who it is. Gatus getting that one off of a player on the opposing side and picking up a point.
It feels like every time he has a chance at a kill, it's a point every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see many people wanting to get in front of one of his strikes, and now we can see that big serve we've been talking about all day. George to Diot, kept alive by the shoulder of Jurak. Now Morrison setting up Zakari with a soft touch. This one to Bast, rejected off of the, it seemed like the face of a Cambrian player. This one on the far side to Zakari. Perot does a good job to keep that alive. This will go to the backside to Hansen, off of a finger of a Mohawk player and out of bounds, but a great rally capped off by a big point for Cambrian. That'll send Diot. We'll see Josh Taylor rotate back in, made a big impact in set number 2 around this time, helping the Mountaineers get back in the lead and then eventually what led to their win. So we'll see if he can have a similar impact now. Dallas Reyes also has been playing a lot of this set. Gitas, Morrison, Taylor.
And just like that, Matt.
The tip leads to the point, and Taylor coming right off the bench helps him record a point. Helix Hunter at the line. That's long.
Cambrian keep their 1-point advantage, but off the bench, Josh Taylor again impressing, and he's going to stay on there for a little bit longer, so we'll see if he can keep that impact as another sub is made, Matt.
It's going to be Daikama coming in, his first bit of action today. Trying to add some size to that front line. You know, he can be effective around the net. We'll see if him and Brecken Morrison get things going. Dallas Reyes, Morrison does it himself. Kept alive though, right around the net now. Dig keeps that alive by Jurak. Now Morrison again trying to do it on his own. This one for Bast, rejected. Morrison off of a Cambrian player and out. And the debark erupts on both sides.
Is there a red card in volleyball, Matt? Do you know? I feel like there's some
don't.
people should be getting a red card right by now.
It's just a passionate game. I mean, right now it's such a tense moment, and both sides a lot on the line. Cambrian obviously disagreeing with the call. Comes Morrison. Perot's on the end of that to George, over to Hansen. Off some fingertips, but Gatis does a good job to keep it alive. Morrison gonna set up Taylor. Rejected, but rejected out of bounds. Broken record here in this set as it's been going off of Cambrian fingers around the net all over the place, but not getting back into play.
Taylor once again with another big point coming off the bench. I mean, he has been a bit of an MVP alongside Gatis.
Morrison with a great serve. This one able to be reeled in though. Now it's going to make its way over to Bast. And Taylor. And now Cambrian's really up in arms. And they're calling a reserve. So we remain at 17-19, or 17-18, sorry. We'll go back down to 18-17 for Mohawk. Dorsey to George, over to Bast, inside, into play for a huge point after
Bit of confusion.
they were confused and frustrated with the calls not feeling like they were going their way when they felt they should have. Can't argue with that kind of play though, as it was an impressive setup. Now Bast with serve. And that will wipe away the goodwill. And now Taylor at the line. Dorsey to George. That one from the big man Wheatley, frustrating Brecken Morrison. He couldn't get underneath that. So we're 19-19. Cambrian seems to be surging a little bit. The momentum feeling more like it's in their favor. But it's been so hard for either team to create separation on the scoreboard that it could easily go either way, with both teams just needing 6 points. That one tips, but it gets to Dykama, to Jordan, or to Delos Reyes, over to Jurak, but it will be brought in and now tipped over by Perot.
Get the hands over the net. And my assessment on that infraction, Matt.
Yeah, that's been called a lot along with the double touch today. So a call going into Cambrian's favor now after probably felt like they had been getting all the calls against them this set. And a big swing there. That was Gillette, excuse me, who hadn't seen yet today. Dykama gonna serve for his first chance today. Bast to George, setting up Perot. That one catches Josh Taylor off guard, not able to get a body part in front of it. So yeah, Cambrian feeling like they're in the driver's seat now, even though it's just a 1 point differentiator separating these teams. We'll see if Liam Hansen, one of the more productive players for Cambrian tonight. That return goes a little too far right over the net, and now Bast does it again. So Cambrian hitting their stride at the right time to stay alive in this game, as long as they can get 3 more points. And the Mountaineers are going to call a timeout just to collect themselves, with everything seeming to go wrong all at once. Just 2 points though. We will step away. It'll be about 45 seconds, and then we'll get back to the action here in set number 3. Let's see if Cambrian can close the door here on the Mountaineers needing 3 points, or if Mohawk can find a way to steal another set away and end this game right here, right now. And here comes Hansen, big jump. Out of bounds. More protesting from Cambrian's bench.
You know, they got that yellow card, Matt, but I don't know what it did. Like, obviously it's not going to be points, but I don't know, like.
I'm not sure. Maybe another a red card or whatever, and it's a point deduction. This one, George to Diot. That time leaving no doubt. Diot's been effective right around the front of the net, using his size and length to.
He's been their best player for sure.
Yeah, he's been their best, I would say.
Either him or
if
Hansen.
Not Hansen, who's quieted down, but still been a huge part of this surging Cambrian team in this set. A big dig from Delos Reyes, and that rejection at the net is going to force match point, or game point, excuse me, set point. Mohawk needs to be perfect. pick up 3 points right now to force overtime in this set. Zakari puts it high for Morrison. Morrison, and looked like it maybe tipped off a Cambrian finger. However, they're going to say it did not. That will be set number 3. So Cambrian staying alive. It's now 2-1. Mohawks seem to have that one in control, but they came on strong, the Shield did at the end. So we will step away for about 3 minutes when we come back. Set number 4, Mohawks still just 1 away from pulling a win off against a highly ranked Cambrian Shield team. Stick with us. Here we go. Time winding down on our intermission. Harrison, prediction for set number 4.
It'll be interesting to see what changes are made for the Mountaineer side. Obviously, for Cambrian, they had success mainly from the middle. Those when they weren't just setting up long shots, it was their big man down low, Diot. Yeah, he was dominant. There was no answer, and I mean, I don't think anybody could block what they were doing with him. So we'll have to see if the Mountaineers can respond. We'll see, they would not want this to go to a 5th and final set.
Nope, absolutely not. That did seem to be the turning point, getting Diot going. They also have that big man Wheatley, another 6'9" player in the middle. So we'll see if they go to him or if Mohawk can come up with an answer. Brecken Morrison going to set up Dean Zakari on the side. Beautiful dig there from Cambrians. And that one close to the net, but Fast able to keep it in play. Delos Reyes back to Morrison, who sets up Jurak. Alex Jurak gets a friendly deflection. And the point goes in favor of the Mountaineers to open things up here in set number 4. Now want to close things out in this set and see if Brecken Morrison can get them going. I'm sure they don't want to have all that back and forth trading points like they did last set, but they might just have to. That goes off of Jurak and out of bounds. Big swing there from Hansen. And now we have Kale Bast's been all over the place today. And A lot of work at the service line. Bellis Reyes to Brecken Morrison, setting up Jurak. He's kept alive. This time Hansen finds a corner, marks it.
And that gives Cambrian their first lead of this fourth set, looking to tie up the series.
Misses that time. Kale Bass has been so good from the service line. That was a rare fault there. And Dean Zakari, another man not having his best day from the service line. Look to get back on track here early on in a very important set. That one does get into play, is kept alive though. Perot gets it over, but Morrison gets it to Zakari, gets it to Gatis.
They should feed him every time, every time. I don't think he's been stopped once.
Doesn't feel that way. Feels like he has been a unstoppable force on the outside when they've been able to get it to him.
Similar to Diot.
Very similar, the two big men battling this game. Jurak sees that one floating, low-hanging fruit, and he absolutely smashes it. Now Dean Zakari got a good one into play there. We'll have another chance. This one looks good too. Put high into the air by Morrison. Jurak able to get it back over, and just as we were talking him up as an immovable, unstoppable force, Gatis is blocked there by a good bit of defensive play on the Cambrian Shield side. So,
I mean, listen, if you're gonna go 4 sets and you finally get stopped on the 4th one, I think you're doing okay, and I think you'll get the ball back.
absolutely. Hitting percentage still up there. This time he'll set up Zakari. Trying to find a soft spot, will be returned over to Perot. Beautiful dig sent right over the net by Delis Reyes. He's having a great game. This time Morrison pops it up, pops it into the crowd. Delis Reyes not able to catch up to it. So 4-4. Now your score here in the 4th. And it's Wheatley, another big man. They got both the big man, Wheatley and Diot, in the lineup right now. Majerus not able to get that into play. Took a big swing. Wheatley now, another chance to extend a lead. Reyes, Morrison to Jurak. Big swing by Perot. Deflects off of Jurak. And they pick up another point as their lead extends to 2. Not that we haven't seen swings at this stage of every set. Never seems like anybody's really pulled away really at all in the entire game. Maybe in the first set before Mohawk came back, that was the biggest deficit we've seen. And Diot doing what Diot does, making his presence felt. No one really wants to jump with that man, just reaching up. Dean Zakari's attempt deflects off the top of the net after a Majerus fake.
And the Mountaineers down probably their biggest deficit of 4.
Yeah, it's not the time of the game to slow down. But Cambrian is just heating up after their big win last time. That one kept alive. Now Wheatley, Dean Zakari able to get it to Morrison, who gets it to Gatis. Now another attempt. That time gets it a piece of Diot. Looks like he might have stung a little bit. Diot clutching his arm. Finding out how much fun it is to jump with Gatis, the new Kid on the block. Majurius with a good dig, but it's too much power on it as it sails well out of bounds. And Cambrian looking like the nationally ranked team they were touted to be coming into this one, as they've really started to turn up the heat. Mohawk needs to get back to their game. Brecken Morrison. And that one off of the hand of Helix Hunter will not be able to be returned by the Shield. And Jurek, one of the leaders at the service line now. Quickly sent back by Hunter. I don't think Mohawk was expecting them to return it, and they did, and the return fire catches everyone off guard. Everyone ball watching a little bit there.
4-point lead regained for Cambrian, as the Mountaineers can't seem to string together points to cut into this lead.
No, it's been the biggest gap we've seen. That one definitely inside. You can see from here, Kyle Perot, just a perfect serve. Can't draw it up any better than that. And a timeout's going to be called by Brad McClure, probably rightly so. As things just not going their way, and they need a bit of a wake-up here after having such a good couple of sets. When Cambrian started getting that ball rolling, set number 3, it's been hard to slow that train down.
You know, the Mountaineers have played good, just as of late, it seems like everything going Cambrian's way, and still a lot of set left to play, but they'll have to turn it around, as we've seen how difficult it can be to overcome such big leads, and biggest one I think we've seen all day at 5.
And that's the lead that they are sitting on now as well. And we'll have about 15 seconds here, and then we'll get things going as Cambrian looking to wrap this one up quick and then head into an overtime set with momentum. See if the Mohawk Mountaineers have something to say about that. Getting the starting lineup back together here, the whole band, with Jordan Ho back in. And it's still Kyle Perot to serve. Zakari's going to get that to Morrison, setting up Hunter. Though a nice dig will allow them to get this back over. Jurek puts it high in the air. Ho's going to send it over to Gitas. Quickly sent back. Look for them to set up Gitas again here. That one tipped out of bounds. So Gitas, not the prettiest kill you'll ever see, but it still goes down as a point.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to stop that many times. Credit the defense of Cambrian, but eventually something's going to give.
Here comes Gatus. Doesn't get it inside there, though. Hard to gauge the timing on those big swings, I imagine, every time. They're not going to be perfect, but when they do hit, they are something. Comes the serve, going to be returned by Zakari off of some players in the front line of Cambrian and out of bounds. Zakari helping them crawl their way back into this set, just down the 4 points. Helix Hunter. And not going to catch the inside of the line there.
Yeah, a couple missed serves, which hurting the Mountaineers' comeback chances at the moment, kind of halting their momentum, Matt.
It is. You're going to have to really sharpen things up now with this deficit. You're looking down right now. Ho's dig gets over. This time Gatus puts it into the air. Morrison to Zakari. No, and it is put back into play. It looked like it was all hope was lost. Morrison does it himself this time into the net. Once again over. That one's out of bounds, but some very admirable defensive efforts there from Perron and a bunch of players on the defensive side trying to keep that alive for Cambrian. Almost did a couple times and then got it over the net, but over into the out of bounds area. As it'll send Morrison, and they'd love to see him get even hotter from the service line. He had a good go at it last time up, but they'll need him to be especially sharp right now. And that one found its way to Dorsey, but he got it too far for anyone to get a good chance at it as it went low and towards the net.
Got the lead cut back down to 3, which has not been in a few minutes, at least in this fourth set, as Morrison starts to maybe heat up in the service line, Matt.
Let's see if he can continue that. That one off of Dorsey as well. George puts it high in the air, but the slam from Hansen is turned away. Andrew Magirius, Alex Jurak in the area.
Now it's a 2-point game.
So just like that, what seemed like it may be Cambrian's set to lose is becoming much more of a tightly contested fourth set. Brecken Morrison trying to get that little corner there. Couldn't quite execute. Fast, at the line. Ho puts that in the air for Morrison, who's going to set up Magirius. And he can't get that over. Went for the punch. Fast back at the line now. Busy man this evening. Davis puts it in the air. Brecken Morrison setting up Zakari on the backside. Off of a Cambrian player and out of bounds. Dean Zakari been effective on that sort of play today. And as good as offensively Cambrian's been around the net, their defense has not been as good. A lot of balls getting through off of them and out of bounds, and struggles on the Mohawk side from the service line continue there as that'll wipe out the big point previously and make it a 4-point deficit once again. Mohawk still nipping at the heels though. Seems like they've found their footing a little bit more in this set. That serve from Wheatley goes to Gatiss. Brecken Morrison, and not everyone on the same page. As that one kind of just fell, and that's costly when you're in a battle like this.
Yeah, Mountaineers have made a couple of mistakes, a couple of missed serves, and obviously that communication mistake and making it harder and harder for them in this fourth set.
Ho puts it up into the air near the net for Morrison. Gatiss won't get a chance because contact with the net was called, I believe. Daikama checking in now for a frustrated Andrew Magirius. Wheatley at the line. Ho puts it to Morrison, to Gatiss. Absolute rocket. Gatiss snapping the run on points for Cambrian.
Give it to him every time, man. I mean, geez, whether it's him or Morrison, kills have worked well for the Mountaineers when they've gotten going.
Tapped over the net. Brecken Morrison tried to keep it alive. Now he needs to be careful right now. He is not pleased. Timeout's going to be called wisely by Brad McClures. His team is frustrated with an impending overtime set closing in on them, and we'll step away for this timeout and come back when action resumes. discussion between Dean Zakari and our official today go on. We'll get set for more action here in a contentious fourth set. Hansen with the serve, gets its way to Ho, sends it in the air for Morrison. This time sets up Zakari, won't be returned. Mohawk with a much needed point there coming out of that timeout after what have been a frustrating series of events for them. Now Jurak at the service line. And that is not what they need, as that misses and will give the service back to Cambrian.
It's about 4 points the Mountaineers have given up from missed serves, and if you look at the score, those 4 points would put them only down by 2.
And Cambrian is barreling towards forcing an overtime set right now after what seemed like a foregone conclusion. Jordan Ho not able to get that one to a teammate. And I'm sure more frustration mounting as now we'll see Crowder and Kuzma come in. I think Morrison will let a breather along with Jurak. Crowder and Kuzma did do well when they came in for set number 2, helping force what eventually became a Mohawk win in that set. So we'll see if they have a likewise effect, even though it's more of a hurdle for them to mount this one to Gaines with a death ray. Martus Giedis has been absolutely on fire. Oatis not going to be slowed down. Keon Elke now getting ready to sub in momentarily. He's going to get the tap as maybe fresh bodies is the answer for getting this team going.
Wow. I mean, what can he not do, Matt?
ACE, that spells ace for Gatus. Keeping his team in it, giving them some life. Keon Elke now, like I said, coming into the game. So fresh legs out there now. That one they are able to get a return on. It'll be Hansen who gets it into Ho's area, putting towards Crowder. Now Keon Elke tips it off of a Shield player up front. And it sails out of bounds. So a momentum swing that they're going to need to roll with as much as possible. And a timeout. As now Gatus has been iced himself after we saw them Mountaineers do that to Hansen.
It went from a 9-point lead to a 4-point lead, just like that. So a 5-point swing again, which 9 points has been the biggest lead, I think, for any team. And we've seen how hard comebacks can be, or at least completing them. But Mountaineers trying to do something we haven't seen and not go to an overtime set.
Yeah, if they want to close this out now, if they can, it would be quite the comeback after they seemingly had, or the Shield, I guess, had this one wrapped up in a bow with that 9-point lead, like you said, the biggest all match in any set. But a timeout, a timely timeout from Brad McClure, and then some substitutions. And then, of course, it never helps when you have the Brazilian Hammer, you know, picking up serving aces and crazy kills. So he's had himself quite the day. So the same lineup rolled back out there. Here comes the big serve. And that one's a fault, unfortunate. So the ice worked.
Finally missed. The lead goes back up to 5 with the other dominant big man, Diot.
Diop puts it over. Gatus to Crowder to Elke. Keon Elke come up with a couple points off the bench himself.
Similar to Josh Taylor, off the bench he comes, and so do the points. As a substitution for the Mountaineers is another face we have seen in this game. Benjamin Puskas coming in.
And Daikama swapping in there, so only man staying out there is Guedes. Puskas with the serve. And that's out. Tough serve now, putting them just 2 points away from a loss in this set. Jordan Ho back in now.
That's been the decider in this set, is all these missed serves for the Mountaineers.
That cost them 7-8 points at this stage. George with a big serve. Elke's there. Crowder's gonna set up Kuzma. This one to Bast. Ho with a huge play. Holy moly. That one, which was a dig, pops all the way over the net into a perfectly placed ball along the side. Now Thomas Kuzma serving. This one from George, over to Hansen, too long, too far for him to get in there. So this lineup with all these fresh faces is working well. I mean, minus a couple of serving mistakes, they'd have this game tied up, and Mohawk might have a chance to end it here in set number 4. Let's see. Crowder's serve. George.
Wow.
Lift called. Lift called on George, and a timeout called by Cambrian. Frustrated George.
It's not been his day.
Sam George not been pleased with some of the calls against him and some of the mistakes, honest mistakes that he's made. And this whole Cambrian Shield team a little bit frustrated, a little bit shell-shocked. When you sub out all your starters on the Mohawk side, you shouldn't expect to have this massive comeback, but the freshness and just the different look of the attack, I think, has really helped. And shout out Keon Elke, Cole Crowder, Kuzma, Thomas Kuzma, everybody, even Daikama coming in and playing well. And if you're Brad McClure, do you stick with that lineup coming out of the timeout, or do you go back to the big names in the starting lineup?
I think you stick with it. You still have a point to give. Obviously, you wouldn't want to give it, but I'd say you keep it. I mean, it's working well right now, and don't really need to change anything. And if Cambridge are going to be the ones to make the mistakes, let them. As long as Kuzma can continue to serve it in, you're giving yourself the best chances. It's been really the biggest problem for this Mountaineer squad in this 4th set.
And that's what they do with Crowder at the service line. Gatus, Ho, Elke, Kuzma, or Crowder, and, excuse me, Daikama on the floor. Double touch. I don't believe it. The mistakes piling up for Cambrian. This is going to cost them. If Mohawk can come up with a huge point here to get a tie in a crucial moment.
Kuzma again at the line for who knows how many times.
That one been the story of the last couple of sets, especially this one. All the good momentum rolling, but the mistakes at the service line costing them, and they need a huge point here to stay alive, and then another one to tie it up. Gatus puts it up. Crowder to Elke. Elke! Keon Elke seeks and destroys.
Got at least one more chance for the Mountaineers. Back to the dreaded service line, what it's been, but you just need one to force overtime.
So Keon Elke keeping this hopes alive here for a 3-1 win.
What?
Waiting to see what the call was on that. Wasn't clear. Mohawk committing a infraction. I think it was Daikama. He was the one seeming to gesture that it was on him, but not clear to us what exactly that was. So we will go to overtime, have a coin flip here. That is a horrible way to finish that set after what had been such an exciting turn of events, in my opinion, Harrison. I mean, obviously you have to call what you have to call, but you'd like to see that one end with someone earning it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a bit of a cheap way for the great set to end. So
we will go to the 5th and final overtime set. First to 15 points takes home the win. Cambrian, you see some highlights, looked like they were out of it, looked like it wasn't their day, maybe a little fatigued from last night's game. Have forced the 5th set, and Mohawk looking to continue their recent winning ways and expand their streak to 4 games. When we come back, we'll see who comes out on top here today. All right. It's time to rock and roll here in the 5th and final set, and what's been a back and forth game full of twists, turns, events, whistles, red, yellow cards, cautions, about everything you could ask for and more, and it'll be decided here. We'll see if Mohawk probably a little bit frustrated not to come away with the win in that last set after surging late. Cambrian trying to show the ultimate resilience, coming back down from death's doorstep, down 2-0. Sees a win here today.
obviously, for those who don't know, overtime rules are different. It's first team to 15, so about 10 less points, and obviously still win by 2.
Every point ever more vital than a regular set here at number 5. Zakari puts that in there for Morrison, who's going to set up Gitas. Kept alive with a nice dig, though. Now Hansen putting it over. Morrison made a great effort to keep that alive. Just not quite able to get it into fair play as the Cambrian Shield let that one sail out of bounds. Big jump here for Bast. Big miss. As like I said, every point going to be ever more vital than before. Now it's going to be 1-1 here. Gitas puts that one over. Then Wheatley jumping for that one out from off the set of George, but it goes into the net, won't get into play.
That's a big miss right there, Matt. I thought for sure that was handing Wheatley a biscuit right there, but he missed it.
Yeah,
probably jumped too early.
Seemed like a tasty apple there, but it'll send Gatus to the line again. Perot good dig by Morrison. Ho's gonna have to set up Jurak. They'll send that right back over. Jurak to Morrison, back to Jurak. Off of a Cambrian player and out of bounds. Alex Jurak in overtime, coming up big early on.
2-point lead for the Mountaineers. As we said, overtime is a lot shorter. Any lead that you can get could be huge, and of course, you don't want to make any mistakes right now from the service line.
Obviously, they had success with some of the more reserve bench players in the last set, as we see a serve missed there by Gitas. Right now, they've put most of the starters back in. Daikama's still on the floor, but hopefully they are refreshed and recharged, as they do hold on to a 1-point lead now with Wheatley at the line. Ho puts that one up for Morrison. Morrison gonna set up Zakari off of a couple of players and out. And that one is gonna be a big point for the Mountaineers to regain a 2-point deficit.
Yeah, I mean, kind of jinxed Gitas there on the serve, but the Mountaineers do get that 2-point deficit right back.
Daikama's serve, out long, not gonna make it in. So story of the game continues to be the struggling Mountaineers from the service line kind of as a whole. No one you can really pick on individually. Right when they get that momentum going, it seems to die out with a fault. That one to Gitas in the air. That's a setup for Helix Hunter.
Just missed it.
But just missed it out of bounds.
Yeah, I mean, if the Mountaineers do lose this game, it'll be on the serves. It'll be a tough pill to swallow, knowing you really beat yourself before.
I'm sure they will have lots of tape to reflect on from the service line today as Hansen gets his opportunity. Gitas somehow keeps that alive. And Zakari. Oh, that was in. I'm sorry, I disagree. That was in my opinion. I thought I had a good sight line of it. I mean, the ref's call is what it is. I thought that one was pretty cut and dry after a heroic dig there from Gitas. Hansen with another chance to serve. Zakari high. Jurak somehow into the bench, keeps it alive. And that one from Gitas. Hits the roof. So Jurak went crashing into the bench to get that one even back into play. It's gonna need to bandage up there. So probably got the worst of it there, falling into the chairs, and then Gitas just giving it a little bit too much into the ceiling.
As the Mountaineers had their 2-point lead, now it is Cambrian's turn to take theirs. They go on a run of their own, making it even harder, as now they need only 9 to complete the reverse sweep.
See if Hansen will start that going. Ho puts it close to the net for Morrison. Jurak keeps it alive. So does Gitas. Zakari just putting it over. Now George setting up fast and rejected, but out of bounds. So close for Alex Jurak, who jumped at the perfect time, just didn't get a solid piece of it. Now with a 3-point deficit, Brad McClure takes a timeout here, collect his team in the overtime period. Back to the action we go. 7-4 in overtime is the lead for the Cambrian Shield. Track just getting a little bit more medical attention after crashing into the chairs. Is all good. He's just about to come out onto the floor now. All wrapped up and ready to go. Sure that will be more sore in the morning than it is now once the adrenaline wears off. But for now, he's locked in and ready for this serve from Hansen, who's been hot from the service line right now. Giedis to Morrison, gonna set up Zakari, rejected. Inbounds. Big point. Diot. So swapping the sides now at the halfway point. And a desperate Mohawk team who came out hot to start off overtime has kind of watched that momentum slip away, Harrison, and now I think maybe we're getting close to panic mode.
Yeah, it's the missed serves. They really beat themselves in this game, even in overtime. A couple missed serves just crashed their momentum more than Cambrian's play, really. And it just comes down to those little mistakes. There's still time, obviously. 4-point lead not insurmountable, but in overtime it gets even harder.
And with the margin to win now just 7 points that Cambrian's chasing, Mohawk has to come up with an answer pretty much immediately. Here comes another serve from Hansen. Feels like he's been there for a century. Brecken Morrison over to Zakari with a soft touch, but it's kept up in the air. George sets it up. Falling away, George sets it up for Hansen, who has the biggest point of his day so far with that. Thought George might spill into our desk here, Harrison, but he caught himself while making a beautiful assist.
Yeah, it was a great pass.
It was a great pass. Now Liam Hansen retains his spot there at the service line. That one is out. So that will end that run.
What a run it was for Cambrian, but with that miss, it gives the Mountaineers at least a lifeline for a minute.
Yeah, they're giving them an opportunity here. For a moment, it felt like they may pick up all of those 7 points consecutively, but that won't be the case. Perot puts it into the air. Morrison misses with a big swing. Wanted to do it himself that time. Normally the set man. So now we're seeing some of those faces from set number 4 who played such a big part in almost forcing a crazy comeback as Cole Crowder's back into the game. Jurak will get a breather. Serve from Perot. Off Giedis, Cole Crowder. Keon Alke turned away, but it is kept alive. Cole Crowder makes a beautiful dig. Morrison gets it over. George to Diot, out of bounds, and a big point for the Mountaineers. Keeping it within 4 points now, needing a huge run. And they get Keon Alke, a man they put in situations like this all the time, subbing him in for serves. They want him to get things going here, create a run of their own if possible. This one put up for Bast. Finds a seam in the defense, in between the defense and the net. A big point for the Shield. Now Diot, the big man, at the line. Alke, Crowder, over to Giedis. In, says the referee.
It's clutch. It's what the Mountaineers needed as the Shield get closer and closer to 15. In a really good overtime period from them. Barring both teams making a couple serving mistakes, it's been all Shield. The Mountaineers again have another chance, down 4.
Delos Reyes with the serve. George gonna set up Hansen. Hansen missing. Didn't get any contact on the way out, so it is a point for the Mohawk Mountaineers, who are now just down 3 after trailing as much as 6 points in this overtime period. Delos Reyes, the one there, putting the hopes on right now to get this one into play, as they've had tons of serving trouble. That one will. Set up for Bast. Delos Reyes went for the dig, couldn't come up with it. Just 3 points now is all Cambrian needs to get the win with a 5-point deficit over the Mohawk Mountaineers. And Sam George, who's been frustrated at points today, felt like he should have had some calls go his way as a time to come up big. Giedis, Crowder, Daikama. Absolutely huge play from Micah Daikama. And now sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, now you have the ace. I mean, if there's ever a time for him to just turn up, we've seen it before in overtime. This would be a great time.
This would be a great time. Not that he's been bad from this from the service line today, just not as efficient. And that won't be what they were hoping for. And all that stands in Cambrian's way is 2 points. So Brad McClure wants an extra bit of time to talk over the strategy here.
And that's been the story of the Mountaineers. Missed serves. It's what's costing them the most points over anything else.
Really has. They've given away points and leads, and right now they just want to find a way to snap the point swing of Cambrian and hopefully give themselves a chance to go on one of their own. You know, it's been a frustrating day when it seemed like they had it all wrapped up after 2 sets. Even though they were close sets, they really were in the driver's seat. They really felt like they were on par, and they haven't exactly been blown out since then. It's just been mistakes from the service line, like we said, and a couple of miscues here and there, just costing them. When you're playing a team like Cambrian, who's clearly, there's a reason they're, you know, ranked in the top 10 nationally. Your room for error with unforced mistakes is so tiny, and we'll have to see if Mohawk has some heroics here late in the overtime period. That from Bast. One off Keon Elke and out of bounds. Worst case Ontario. Unfortunately, see, they're going to need a perfect run here. Bast in the air by Jurak. Brecken Morrison, Jurak, and that is just about going to do it in the overtime period. Cambrian does pull off the reverse sweep, so frustration on the Mohawk sideline after they seemingly had a win in their grasp. Harrison, disappointing outcome.
Yeah, came down to the mistakes, Matt. I mean, missed serves, and we saw those last 2 points, just miscues, and that's the difference between a really good team and one that's just on the cusp of being good, or being really good. As we just saw, as the Mountaineers really had this game won, and they let it slip away through the mistakes.
And that's just going to wrap up our broadcast today. We'll be back on Wednesday for some basketball here at the David Braley Athletic and Recreation Center. Thank you very much for listening to us. We'll leave you with these 5th game highlights from Matt Jandrew and my co-host Harrison Meyer. Thank you very much, and have a good day.